Die!
No, you.
What? Oh!
This build is Greatsword. It is every Greatsword user. It is we who like to take the biggest sword whacker and do the most badass, purest, biggest sword whacks. And seriously, guys, not only is this build insanely fun, it gives you the opportunity to see the highest damage numbers you will ever see while regularly hunting, and it competes handily with normal meta Greatsword. This really is something special. Since the start of Rise, since the discovery of Brutal Strikes and how it works, and the discovery of Rage Slash and how it works, I have had a dream to go pure attack. To ignore all fancy smancy affinity, to stand there in the face of the monster, take its most mighty blows, and then return one even mightier. The truest unga bunga expression of Greatsword Go Boom. A dream that I shared with Mr. Socks, who has very much been my compatriot in the developing of this build, and has very much stamped it with his approval, as would every single Greatsword user out there, because seriously guys, not only is this just as powerful as any given meta set, it is just colossally, purely fun. It really is. You just feel like an absolute powerful badass in every single moment of the hunt, and I absolutely adore it. There is something special about foregoing any affinity, any weakness exploit, any crit boost, just going stack attack, and then seeing these ridiculous numbers pop when Brutal Strike takes the wheel. Yeah, that's a 1200 damage Rage Slash without resentment affecting it, and before it gets a 30% damage boost from being hit during the charge. So let's talk Brutal Strike then, the magic in this build. Well, it's fairly straightforward. It's a ramp-up skill found on negative affinity weapons, or at least some of them. It messes with said negative affinity. Usually, a weapon with negative affinity has that much chance to do 25% less damage on its attacks. However, with Brutal Strikes in the mix, instead of a negative crit always being 25% less damage, sometimes, and by sometimes I mean is a 25% chance for it to happen, you will instead do 50% more damage. Technically, what's happening is it's doubling the damage of the negative crit, but that equals a plus 15% damage boost, so it's easier to just think of it like that. So essentially, Brutal Strike means that a quarter of all your negative crits are instead a plus 50% damage hit, which is 10% more than a normal crit with max crit boost. So you see why Brutal Strikes is the way to see the biggest numbers. And that's what you will be seeing with this set, but it also means that, of course, you have to ignore affinity and affinity-related skills. Because as soon as you push yourself out of negative affinity, Brutal Strike essentially stops working. You might as well not have it on your weapon. So it completely frees us up to simply stack raw damage. And if you want the actual maths, well, there you have it. The TLDR and what you need to take away from this is that Brutal Strike on a weapon with negative affinity essentially cancels out the damage loss from that negative affinity. So it's quite the potent skill. It obviously just means that you can't use affinity positive based skills, but we don't need them here. So what weapon are we going to use to properly capitalize on this? Well, there's two options for Greatsword. You have the Tigrex and you have the Gosharag. The choice here is Gosharag, simply because the extra 20 raw is just ahead of the white sharpness boost, and the 2 slot on the Gosharag is needed to complete the build. So we are getting our Frosty Bear into the mix, which is always good. Then it comes to the actual armor here. So obviously, as we're ignoring affinity, we need simply raw boosting skills. Attack 7 is the first port of call, but past that, what do we do? Well, because we're Greatsword, because we're playing Rage Slash, because we're going to get hit before hitting back, Resentment goes from being a kind of niche skill sometimes you can use maybe, to essentially a reliable plus 25 raw at level 5. So Resentment is our goal. With that in mind then, this is how the set shakes down. You want to be getting yourself the Magnum Aloe Helm, the Goss Harag Chest, the Rathalos Gloves, the Goss Harag Waist, and your Hunter's Legs. And before we go any further, yeah, it looks damn good. Okay, cool. And into that armor, you want to slot 3 focus decorations, 3 attack decorations, and 2 steadfast decorations. This will leave you at attack boost level 7, resentment level 3, focus level 3, which we do need. It makes an absolutely massive difference. It takes 0.33 seconds off all of your rage slashes, which you want. It ups the pace and is a huge overall gain across the course of a hunt. You also get 3 stun resistance, which you again need, as being stunned is the only way for your Rage Slash to get cancelled. And you really don't want to be getting stunned out of Rage Slash because A, it sucks, and B, you're probably just going to die to the follow-up attack that you can't do anything about. We also get a little bit of handicraft, crit draw, punishing draw, which honestly isn't that bad. You open with your draw attack anyway, and the handicraft keeps you sharper for longer, but you will notice then that their talisman is missing. This is where there is a little caveat of this build, because obviously we only have 3 resentment, and we really want 5. Well, as sad as it is for me to do this, you need to start praying to Lord Gog above! Because in order to complete this build, thanks to resentment not existing as a decoration, which again is really weird, what's up with that, Hammon? You will need to get resentment on your talisman. And yeah, that sucks. You can't even get level 5 resentment just from armor. You can only get 4 from wearing everything that has it. So, it's a little bit of a caveat. Fortunately though, resentment is not a rare skill on a talisman. You can pretty reliably get it, as proven by this lowly rarity for resentment 1. Or the talisman that I actually use for this, which is a rare 6, resentment 2, with no slots, which again isn't the most incredible talisman in the world, it just happens to perfectly finish off this build for the full 7 attack, 5 resentment, 3 focus, and 3 stun resistance, which are the core 4 skills for massive brutal strike boom. And how boom is that boom? Well, it goes a little something like this. Taking our Goss Harag, adding in the plus 35 raw from resentment and attack, timesing it by the 1.2 blue sharpness, by the 1.1 attack, puts us at 350 effective raw. And you can count the resentment as effective because it will always be on, because you will be getting hit because of Rage Slash. And I do love that the unique combination of Brutal Strike, Greatsword's Rage Slash, and Resentment works as this beautiful trinity together that lets it shine, and no other weapon can really do this as well. And you know, that makes sense, because Greatsword's the best weapon! Flagship weapon! Anyway, no, I really do love all the weapons, but come on, big hit numbers. So 350 then, the best Greatsword set you can make with the normal expected weakness exploit 1 level 2 slot talisman is in the 364 range. So yeah, you're really not far off, it's like less than 1%, don't worry about it. For the gain in fun, and for the gain in every now and then seeing that brutal strike pop, and hitting for a number that no other build can ever slightly come close to, God, does it feel good. It feels good to play in a way that doesn't need affinity at all, and it is just so purely fun. take your greatsword, take this build, take your Rage Slash, and take the monster's fury, and return with a fury twice-fold of your own. It really is pure magic, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's just glorious. And the thing is, enjoy it while you can, because this really, it's hard for it to get better. None of the remaining raw boosting skills kinda work too nicely. The next best thing to do is probably add Hellfire Cloak and Resuscitate, and that requires an insane amount of skillage that you simply can't get close to. So maybe future update armor will let us, but I would hazard a guess that relative to the power level of sets in the game right now, this will never be as competitive as it currently is. So get your fun out of it while there is fun to be had. Alright then guys, that is your Brutal Strike Unga Bunga No You Greatsword, and it is glorious. Let me know what you think. Like you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.
I'll end this!
Oh, shit!
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.